Hi Spyder, I'm back for part 18. I had to come back because of the way it ended and I didn't cover what I wanted to cover. So first, like again, it's very important that you watch part 1 and part 2 and part 3, okay? Spyder's proposing CFL Red-Zone Rule, and then I've used Spyder's CFL Red-Zone Rule, as you know, with my new hats. Okay, on my YouTube session titles, and it's very important you watch part 1, okay, my intro and how I come up with my, and how and why I come up with my CFL Red-Zone Rule, and part 2, the presentation itself I made to the Commissioner and the CFL on January 31st of 2018 on my CFL Red-Zone Rule, and part 3, their decision and the conclusion of that. Okay, so it's very important you watch those 3 important parts first, 1, 2, and 3, and then part 4 right through now to part 18. And I said I may have a surprise in a sequel in part 18. It won't be in this one, but there may be one more coming on a sequel as a surprise next week. Okay, and then I'm going to fold the tent for the spring. And I'll for sure, and I'll be back in the spring or late spring or just around training camp or whatever, and to see if there's a season and not something ridiculous going on and ridiculous financial demands like the Canadian Players Association, and at that time it was Fleury, I think. I forget. Played for the Alouettes, the lineman. Guaranteed Canadian lineman. He was the president. Fleury? I think that's how you pronounce his name. Okay, anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's not a good memory. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to also put the bet on that 37.5%. I got that right finally. That was the Riders, can you imagine? The lowest in the touchdowns scored in the red zone. Okay, in the 2018 season on an average percentage, and I said, because I made a mistake from 35 point, it's supposed to be from 35.7, not 35.5. So from 35.7, that's what my mistake was, and their correct number was 37.5. Can you imagine? Average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone by the Riders, Saskatchewan Rough Riders in 2018. Can you imagine? Wow, like I said, does the CFL ever need my CFL Red-Zone Rule? Big time. Big time. Also, when I was talking about the Canadian ratio, okay, in the end, I couldn't cover it all, and it's not, I got mixed up, Derek Taylor and Dave Naylor. Dave Naylor said, and you know, Dave Naylor, come on, you know better than that to say, oh, the CFL wants to reduce for the new collective bargaining agreement the Canadian ratio, starting Canadian ratio from 7 to 5. Dave Naylor, come on, have some guts. You know, tell the real truth. You know, I mean, you partly did when you said, you know, like, I know how to fix the CFL, is get rid of the Canadian ratio, so get rid of these grossly overpaid, overrated Canadian linemen that have no business being on the CFL field, that no one goes to a game to see play. Yeah, you know, and then you say this, come on, you know that, you know when the guaranteed, you know how the CFL teams struggle with this? It's unbelievable with the Canadian ratio. Putting 7 Canadian starters out there with injuries, and can you imagine putting Canadian starters out there that aren't even good enough to be playing in the CFL? And then sometimes they put out 8 and 9 because of injuries, because they have to juggle it constantly, and so to reduce it from 7 to 5, then they'll put out 7 or 8. Like, the problem's never going to go away unless you eliminate the Canadian starter ratio. It's got to go. It's got to be abolished. The problem will always exist. The Canadian ratio doesn't go away unless it's completely eliminate the Canadian starter ratio. And by the way, the Canadian guaranteed roster ratio got to be either abolished or dramatically reduced. Like Glenn Souther says, put some Canadian players on a practice roster. Get rid of the Canadian roster ratio too. It's got to go. It's dictating the Canadian Players Association, Canadian players, and the Canadian president. That's a guaranteed Canadian lineman keeping. They're dictating, like I said before, who starts and plays in the CFL with the Canadian starter ratio and who's on the CFL roster with their guaranteed Canadian roster ratio. So you have to eliminate both, and you have to basically actually eliminate the Canadian Players Association too. Okay? You have to break them. You have to break them, bring them down, because they're running and controlling the CFL. Okay? And that's why there's 1 year non-committing 1 year contracts and the NFL window back because the owners aren't, the coaches aren't. The coaches can't even recruit the best available players to play in the CFL to start and play at every position like every other professional sports league can, including MLS soccer. Okay, that's why there's so many empty seats. And in the Great, like I said, in the CFL playoffs and the Grey Cup game as well, not this every regular CFL game, but every CFL game, including the Grey Cup and the Grey Cup players playoffs. The CFL coaches cannot even play their best receivers or their best players in other starting position, or have the best players on the roster, okay, because of the Canadian ratio. So, okay, I want to put the Canadian ratio to bed finally, and I know I had extensive coverage on it, but I'm glad I did, because I just wanted to say one other thing that, you know, on it, okay, yeah, because it totally dilutes the talent pool in the CFL. And Rosie, and like what he's doing now, he wants a territorial pick for like Montreal Alouettes to go to the Laval and get a player. He wants even more Canadian players on and less American players. That's what he's doing, and he contradicts himself again on this Randy road trip this week, saying that oh, we don't want to be called the Canadian Football League anymore. We want to be called the CFL. That's our brand. Mr. Brozy, okay, here you are saying something like that, and you're not doing anything about the Canadian ratio. You won't even touch it. It's not going to change. Now you want to add more Canadian players and allow them to go and get another player, Canadian player in their region, right? I guess that's going to be another Canadian ratio spot. Come on, Mr. Brozy. You're really, I'm telling you, it's like my son said, you're a politician, and I seriously, you're very manipulative, and I don't trust you. I don't trust the words that come out of your mouth, and you talk a good talk, but you're really beating around the bush, and you're not telling the real truth and being straight with us. You're not. This is, you know what? I've been a passionate CFL fan for a long time, and I care about the CFL, and I don't want the CFL to go down the tubes, and that's why I'm basically, I'm on YouTube with my CFL Red-Zone Rule, and I went over the Canadian ratio and what it's doing to our CFL three-down game, and went over the real truth and the real facts of how it's really killing our CFL three-down game and diluting the talent pool in the CFL terribly. And like I said, the Canadian Players and the Canadian Players Association, they have a monopoly. You know, they're running the CFL, you know, with their Canadian ratio. And it's destroying our three-down game. And that's what really makes me upset, because I remember taking my son, okay, to Sky Dome, okay, when Damon Allen was there against the Alouettes, and the Alouettes won, actually. There's 42,000 people in the Sky Dome. Okay, I took him to the 2007 Grey Cup when the Riders won. I was at 2009 Grey Cup when the 13th Man Grey Cup, okay, when the Alouettes won. And took him to the 2000 Grey Cup in Calgary when the guess who played at halftime, when the BC Lions won. And you know what? Like, by the way, I want to get back to it's really upset me. It really upsets me to see the way the CFL has really declining in popularity and really going down the tubes. Really, I mean, just open your eyes. Look at all the empty seats. Look what BC Lions was. They used to draw like 40, 50,000 people in a playoff game, CFL playoff game. They used to draw 30,000 when G. Roy Simon was there, 30, 35,000. Look what's happening to the CFL. And like I said, I gave you the reasons why it's happening. And I'm telling you the truth and giving you real facts. And I care about the survival or our 3-down game. I care about you know, the CFL, and I care about the prosperity of it, and I want the CFL to excel in popularity and increase their fan base. It's really depleted. Just look around you. Look at all the empty seats. It's terribly embarrassing. The backdrop is brutal on TV, and the CFL is really in trouble. I hate to say it. The CFL, our 3-down game's in jeopardy. It's in trouble unless some serious major changes are made. And I outlined that on my YouTube sessions. You know, I went over it with a lot of detail, and I explained it, you know, in detail. And I really hit home runs with what I'm trying to convey to you. And this is what has to happen in order for a CFL 3-down game to turn around, and in order for a 3-down game to be respected, that a real professional 3-down football league and not a minor league, you know, image, you know, and farm league and feeder league image, like Mr. Ambrosi says the CFL is not. Well, it is, and I explained why it is, and in detail, and I give the facts, okay? Not a bunch of BS like Ambrosi's trying to throw at you, you know, a bunch of crap. Okay, but you know, snow jobs. Okay, I can catch your snow jobs, Mr. Ambrosi, and you know what? You know, you're trying to fool a lot of people and be the big rock star CFL commissioner, but you know, I'm here on YouTube telling the sports fans of Canada that have a real sports brain, that have their sports brain hats on, that know exactly what's going on now if they're watching my YouTube sessions and getting the real truth and the real facts. Okay. I want to get that out there. It's very important for me to convey that to you. Okay, and by the way, Saskatchewan Roughriders, I love the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Okay, I took like I said, my son to the 207th grade cup. When they won, okay, the Riders won. And my son even had Rider, okay, tags on underneath his eyes. I think we both did, okay, we were for the Riders. Sorry, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I want to see you win the Grey Cup too. I'm a CFL fan, that's the thing for all the teams. My sons also, we're for the CFL. We don't watch NFL football. So, you know what? That's why I'm telling you, I'm laying it all out on the table. I'm spilling my guts out and telling you exactly how I feel and exactly what I believe is true, and believe what has to happen to turn our CFL 3-down game around and be as prosperous and as popular, and with many more seats being filled, like when Mark Cohen was there, okay? It's really been going downhill since he's left, okay? And here's where we're at today, and we got to turn it around. And I gave you very important, okay, points that I made, very key points, and how to do that, okay? So I'm just going to see what I want to. I'm just going to be very casual today and talk to you, okay? But getting back to Saskatchewan Roughriders, no, Saskatchewan, you know, listen, I love the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I want to go to a Grey Cup there in 2020, okay? Jamie Nine, he's one of my popular, he's probably one of the best sports talk show hosts in Canada. He's my favorite, okay? I listen to him all the time. And also, you know, he was really good to me about my CFL Red-Zone Rule too. You know, he was the first to mention it on a sports talk show, really, which I really appreciate Mr. Nine. But anyway, I didn't mean to say anything derogatory against Saskatchewan on the NFL rider. I mean, sorry, not the rider, but the Raider and the Packer exhibition game. I just don't think personally. I hope the Saskatchewan Roughrider fans boycott it. I don't think it's good for the CFL. How can it be? How can it help the CFL? It helps the NFL. It hurts the CFL. I mean, because Saskatchewan Roughriders is the backbone of the CFL. You can't be promoting NFL 4-down football in Saskatchewan and Regina, in Riderville, Rider Nation, during the CFL season when the Saskatchewan Roughriders are on the road, and probably when the Atlantic touchdown, touchdown Atlantic's happening in Atlantic Canada. This is bad. This is real bad, and it's going to hurt our brand of CFL 3-down football and hurt the league, and we're going to lose more fans. You know, the NFL is only going to benefit from this. I mean, maybe the Saskatchewan Roughrider ownership group think they can make a lot of money off this, but man, it's going to hurt the CFL brand and hurt the Saskatchewan Roughrider brand too as well. That's just my opinion. Okay, but I think a lot of Rider fans would agree with what I'm saying. And have it ready, because I've heard them calling into the talk show saying the same thing I'm saying. Okay. I just want to cover a few. I did cover that. Sorry. Mr. Ambrosi was talking. One other thing on the roadshow was talking about, like on the Premier League, there's now 70% of the players are international, 30% that are national. So, and he talked about in the NHL, there's 30% of the players now European. But he talks a good talk again, and it's another big snow job, another big contradiction, because, okay, the big question is the Canadian ratio. Mr. Ambrosi, you said you owe it to the fans to have the best players starting. He says playing, that means starting in the CFL and playing in the CFL. How are you going to do that with a Canadian handcuffing? Handcuffing. The coaches get their hands cuffed, okay? They can't even recruit the best available players, and they can't even start the best available players, okay? And have the best available players on their roster because they're handcuffed by a dictating, controlling, handcuffing Canadian starter ratio, Mr. Ambrosi. So it's another one of your big snow jobs and big contradictions. So I just wanted to put that to bed on the Canadian ratio. I have it put to bed, and I made a lot of valid points here and give you the real truth and the real facts, okay? All right, now we're just moving on. I want to talk now that that is done. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to talk to also, what I said in my last session, okay? When on the business season, Ambrosi's business season, and his accomplishments, which haven't been any that I can see. And I want to get back to what I was saying because I didn't have enough time, actually. I was pressed for time again. It timed out again. This time it's going to be shorter. I only have 23 minutes, but I'm going to get everything in, okay? Getting back to what I was talking about, that the CFL playoffs, I didn't even mention that they're not on CTV. The Grey Cup's not on CTV, and no CFL games are on CTV, okay? And CTV, by the way, okay, are owned by Bell Alliance, by Bell Media, sorry, who owns, by the way, CTV and TSN. And by the way, TSN, okay, they have exclusive rights, okay, to all the CFL games, including the CFL playoffs and the Grey Cup. And guess what? They own the Toronto Argonauts. Bell Media, they own the Toronto Argonauts, okay? And they don't even cover it on TSN radio. They don't even cover the Argonauts. They don't even hype up the Toronto Argonaut games during the week. And they own the team. Can you imagine that? And Ambrosi, you're doing a real good job. If you can't get that, you know, if you can't get more coverage on CFL when you got TSN who shows all the CFL games, including the Grey Cup, okay, and the CFL playoffs, and they own the Toronto Argonauts, Bell Media, and you can't get more coverage on CFL 3-down football and get more hype and get it more promoted, okay, and do more shows on, okay, and hype up every game, okay, in every CFL market, because the TSL radio right across, TSN radio right across Canada, okay, and you can't get CFL 3-down football on CTV, then you know what, Mr. Ambrosi? If they're not going to do that for you, then you should put CFL 3-down football on CBC and the Grey Cup game on CBC. Okay? Because, man, oh man, it's like that's just unbelievable. That you can't get that done? What is going on here? Then why are they showing the CFL games? And why don't they own the Argonauts? Well, they have an invested interest in the CFL. And they own the team. And they have all exclusive rights for all the CFL games on TSN. And they won't even show the Grey Cup on CTV or CFL Game of the Week on CTV or the CFL Playoffs on CTV. I think it's time that CBC gets coverage of CFL 3-down football. Bell Media, if you're not going to do that, and Randy Ambrosi, you're not a very good salesman if you can't get that done with Bell Media. You're not a very good salesman. So much for your business season. It's a zero. It's seriously, what have you done? Okay, where's the announcements? Okay, we got to get going because we want to get a few minutes left. Isn't that something? How that's really gone by the wayside. So I went over that. I went over the Dave Naylor thing. The Atlantic Schooners letter. I only got a few minutes. I sent, by the way, what I wanted to say about that was that I sent a letter to. Actually, went to the LeBlanc, the group. The Halifax CFL bid group, and it went to the mayor and went to the premier, okay? Basically saying, you know, if you're going to build a Mickey Mouse little 20,000 seat, permanent seat stadium between the goal lines, imagine that. We'll never host a Grey Cup. Don't even bother. Don't build a Mickey Mouse eyesore, tiny little community stadium, right? That Wayne Mason, that idiot, that bonehead counselor, and Mayor Savage, he's the blame for this. He threw the wrench in and changed this whole thing, you know, to his little Mickey Mouse little stadium. What a joke. And then he goes and says, another contradictory person like Ambrosi says, oh, wouldn't it be great to stage a Grey Cup game in Halifax? How are you going to stage a Grey Cup game with that eyesore, that Mickey Mouse little stadium? So I called him out on this and sent a letter on that. Okay, so time is going. And this really went fast, and I don't want to say any more about Atlantic Schooners. Apparently, there's going to be a Randy Roadshow in Halifax. They're going to have more announcements about the stadium and so forth, and Touchdown Atlantic, okay? I just want to say that I'm probably going to have my Facebook page up very soon, hopefully by the end of the weekend or the first of the week. And I'll have, hopefully, like I said, a sequel to one of my YouTube sessions, and from now on, you know, I want to have a radio blitz. Like I said, I'm going to do a radio blitz. I'm going to have my song, okay, the last part of my song, my short version of my song, play out, and then I'm going to blitz, okay. I'm going to talk about the two unbelievable, powerful features of my Spyder CFL Red-Zone Rule, where it totally eliminates second down stops in the red zone and completely eliminates all the easy chip shot field goals in the red zone or slightly outside the red zone, depending on where the second down stop is made. So that's going to be, part of my radio blitz. Okay, I was going to play part of the end of the song, but I couldn't do that because I didn't have it ready, but that's okay. So I'm going to basically sign off and say we'll see you in the spring. And thanks for watching all Spyder CFL Red-Zone Rule sessions on YouTube. And have yourself a good day. Okay? All the best to you. Take care. Signing off, Spyder. Bye-bye for now. See you in the spring.